when you're going to plant a bonsai or even cactus, you use a bonsai dish. They have large holes in the bottom, and you can't put soil directly in the pot because it'll go right through the hole. So you use a piece of netting. It can be plastic. These are found in, people generally use these for a type of embroidery. They come in big sheets, 8 by 11 or 9 by 12. And you just cut. In this case, there are 2 small pieces. You could cut one for the whole thing, and then you use a piece of wire, goes through the netting, insert the wire through the hole, and bend the wire flat on the bottom side. Then you take, I'm using what's called Tammy gravel. It's a little larger than aquarium gravel, though you could use aquarium gravel. And you kind of, mainly you want to group it around the drainage hole, because even with that size netting, soil will flow through when you water your plant or plants. And this is another size webbing you can use, and this is another bonsai typical dish with the large holes. In this case, just inserting the webbing into the bottom, not wiring it. Usually it's wired, but you can do it without wiring it.
Right.
Next step, I'm going to be planting cacti into my bonsai dish. This is a 2-inch pot, baby size. So you want to squeeze 4 sides of the plastic container it comes in to release the soil from the sides of the pot. Tip it upside down. You got your plant. And you position it where you want. Even if you're planting a larger plant from the original nursery container, you need to loosen the sides in order to get it out. Whether you're using 2-inch, 4-inch, or gallon size, or 5-gallon size. For gallon and 5-gallon size, you need, like, I use a metal rod, but you can also use a hammer. And if you can't loosen it that way, then you need to use a pair of shears and cut the plastic. This one's stubborn. This one, the roots are starting to come through the bottom of the. Come on, baby. There we go. You can see that this one's definitely root bound.
Does it matter if it's taller than the pot?
Yeah, it does. 2 ways of dealing with that. Shift the rocks around a little bit, and you can also, because of the way this is root bound, it's kind of gotten what I'd call feet. It doesn't hurt the plant to break up the roots a little bit.
So you're not necessarily tearing them off, you're just kind of loosening them up.
Relocating them.
What would happen if you tore them off?
Your plant might die.
Okay.
It relies on its root. Yeah, don't cut them off. Just shift them around. Basically, all I'm trying to do is lower its height. Roots are basically intact. All I'm getting off is soil. There now, it's do this to all of them a little bit. This one you can't see the color of the roots, but they're there. This one feels like it has a tap root. Again, you can see how it's root bound. This one has big roots. This baby's going to be a big boy. Which simply means that all the top is going to go upwards. And it's probably going to get new babies. You can see that right there. The new leaf is starting, and this one will spread sideways, as well as upwards.
Will it only go sideways as far as the pot is concerned?
Yeah. Space available. You don't want to take soil off the top. Plants don't like their root. Yeah, this one's pretty root bound. There's not much dirt here. It's mainly roots. And there's not much soil that can be removed.
You gotta move some of the rocks.
Shift the rocks around a bit so that there. Now the soil is even with the edge of the pot. Now, because I'm dealing with a very small area, I'm using a tablespoon to add additional soil.
Funny mix.
Miracle-Gro puts extra nutrients in their soil. And you should pat the soil down as you put it in. If you don't, there's a lot of excess air, which will show up when you water it the first time. First time you water it, you need to give it a good drenching. And you'll know that you're getting the job done correctly because you'll find a whole bunch of air bubbles. You know, once you cover it with water and the water starts to seep into the soil, you'll get a bunch of bubbles coming up. That means that the soil is settling.
Oh.
You didn't compact it adequately when you're putting it in. And so the soil will sink. Sometimes you need to go back and add more soil after the first watering. And then you get a second watering. You always have to do that. Anytime you're putting soil in a pot, whether with plants in there or those 3 pots there are going to be for seeds, you still have to tamp down the soil. This applies whether you're planting one plant or in this case 4. You fill in, you don't put your loose soil in if you're planting new plants into a much larger pot. You test fit, which is basically what I did, was to see, does this soil level of the plant coming out of its original pot, if it's higher than the edge of your new pot, then you need to break up the roots so that you can squish it down. If, on the other hand, the plant is, demonstrate here with the strawberry plant, the original 1-gallon plant is smaller than the pot it's going in, then you put it in and see how much soil you have to add at the bottom to bring the top level of the soil below the edge of the pot. And I always like to put rocks or mulch on top of the soil, so it helps the pot and the plant retain water. If you don't put rocks or mulch or bark or some covering there, the soil will dry out faster.
Does it matter the type of rocks you use?
No, I've used, this one down here is dolomite.
The white dolomite.
White dolomite. Or, some pots I've used, the Pammy. You can see.
It's a Pammy rock. Here's what white looks like. Pammy.
Landscape supply. They have, they come in different colors. You only use soil when you're growing a plant, because the plant takes its nutrition from the soil. And I like Miracle-Gro because they put extra nutrients in the soil. Eventually, yes, you will have to put fertilizer in, though most of my plants are survivors. Because every plant will take different nutrients out of the soil. It'll take out nutrient A and then replace it with nutrient B. And that's why, agriculturally speaking, farmers rotate their crops. Because if they keep planting the same crop in the same field year after year after year, all the food's gone. Nothing, there's no nutrients left for the plant. And historically speaking, that's why farmers migrated from the East Coast to the Midwest to the West. They were looking for new soil without knowing it. They simply,
That's the cause of the old Dust Bowl too.
Yeah. Well, that was a combination of drought, improper cultivating. When McCormick tractors came out and they had these big cultivators that would go through the, churn up the soil, they did it improperly. And I forget what it was. I think they would do it, like with hills, they would do it in a circular pattern, and they shouldn't have. Or else they were doing it in a vertical pattern. Whatever way they were doing it caused the soil to evaporate faster.
Wow.
And that, in combination with a drought, was the end of the soil. The soil, if doesn't get water, will turn to dust.
That's when you get your famine.
Yep. Now I will remove big pieces like this from a tiny little bowl like that. If I were doing this into a big pot, that would, if you look at this carefully at the soil, there's all kinds of little bits of wood in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the little white things are perlite. They're water retainers. Yeah, you want perlite in your soil. And I've arranged these so that I could put something decorative in this section here. Should have bought 5 plants. Here we go, another to give a decorative look to this.
Now, are you going to put rocks on top of this?
Yeah, I might see if I can squeeze a few in. Compact it.
We'll come back and see what it looks like when it's done, right?
Yeah. Stop. I arranged the plants so that I could put something decorative in amongst them. I've chosen a Japanese style sculpture.
Oh, that looks very nice.
And I deliberately placed the 2 big plants to the sides, lower ones in front. Again, using a tablespoon. In this case, I'm using aquarium gravel because it's very tiny.
Let me see it. Let me see the bag. Yeah. Mega Premium Aquarium Gravel. Okay.
I'm inserting it as a soil cover.
Okay. Just for decoration.
No, it helps retain the water in the pot.
Ah.
If you don't put a covering over your soil, the soil will dry out faster. It's true. It's universally true. If you're putting a plant into the ground, you should use mulch or bark or gravel on top of the soil to prevent evaporation. Or prevent fast evaporation.
Here's what it looks like. Go ahead and turn it around so we can see the back of it.
Oops.
Very nice.
Using a bonsai dish with cactus and succulent.